website was in Japanese. I didn't want to click on the link because I don't think you wanted me to.
Because it was gonna show like.
But
Well, I was gonna say like sex toys.
that too, probably. Yeah.
Okay, so I was in London recently, in case you couldn't tell. Why, you may ask? Was it to visit the countless historical sites and museums there? Was it perhaps to indulge myself in all the great British cuisine? Cuisine such as the toast sandwich. Mmm, delicious. No, it was in fact to play Pokemon. After a 3-year hiatus, the Pokémon World Championships were held there, and I was able to qualify for them. Just barely, but qualify nonetheless. I figured it would be fun to make a blog about this experience traveling abroad for the first time, and also my first time competing at Worlds. What is not fun is the fact that I barely recorded any footage until the last 2 days I was there, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to pad out the rest of the video and hope it turns out well. My trip in London starts not actually in London, but instead in Windsor, just west of the city. Windsor, as far as I know, is known for 2 things: hosting the Queen's Crib at Windsor Castle, or I should say King's Crib in light of recent events, and Legoland. As excited as I was to visit the theme park, even researching what the best rides were, things immediately went downhill. You see, it wasn't exactly a good idea spending the day at a theme park, running on like 2 hours of sleep after flying over an entire ocean. As soon as I was in line for the first ride of the day, I got bored, tired, and hungry from not having a meal in like 6 hours at that point. The most entertaining thing in this hour-plus queue was looking at this other dude reading Love is War. I'm glad at least someone in that line wasn't completely miserable while waiting, though I question bringing your manga to a ride specifically designed to get you wet, so I hope he had a bag for that. After that ride and a quick lunch, I visited the park's premier attraction, Fly the Skylion. The ride was once again quite enjoyable, being one of those 4D theater rides that simulate flight and spray water in your face, as if I needed any more of that. However, this was again another hour-plus queue, where if I was any more tired, I would have fallen asleep standing. As much as I wanted to ride something else, by then my mind was set and I just wanted to return to my Airbnb. I at least made sure to check out Miniland, a section at every Legoland, hosting a variety of impressive Lego builds, and where the bulk of this day's photos were taken. This also ended up serving as a bit of a preview for the following day. So yeah, after hyping myself up for this visit, I rode a grand total of 2 rides here. That, and I bought myself some Legoland exclusive sets, one based off the Fly to the Skyline ride, and this other mini castle thingy just so I wouldn't leave with just one thing. Like, come on, you can't just come to Legoland and buy just one thing for yourself.
It's Tuesday and it's...
Now is when my adventures in London properly begin, as I head into the city for the first time after an hour train ride from Windsor. Promptly after walking out from Waterloo Station, I was met with all the famous sights, like the London Eye, Big Ben, this Boudica statue I only cared about or even knew who she was because she has an anime version in said mobile game I bring up what feels like every video of mine. Now, a goal of this trip was hitting up all the locations you see here on this Lego set, because I thought it would be a cute thing to say I visited the actual places after just having built this a month prior. Which is why I made a beeline to the National Gallery, which was the one museum I wanted to make sure I would visit. Being the sophisticated man of culture that I am, I spent what felt like the bulk of the day here appreciating all the beautiful works of art, such as Jesus being crucified, Jesus with this little angel dude who looks faded as fuck, Jesus on a towel, Jesus with his crew. Honestly, just a lot of Jesus. We got this painting with the angel Michael, But more importantly, the devil here, which I thought looked pretty cool. Dude's got some funky ass nipples. Speaking of nipples, we got a lot of naked people, which I am not sure if I should censor these or not. My favorite of this category is this one Santa Claus looking dude, who is funny enough on his own, but you should not ignore all the other great faces here. There's a painting that reminded me of this one Pokemon card. This dude who was me the day prior, and eventually later this same day too. Now, this is a painting which had quite the crowd situated in the part of the museum hosting some of Vincent van Gogh's art. I guess this is supposed to be a really famous painting of his, and the museum even had a good chunk of merchandise dedicated to this one piece. Unlike probably all the other people there, my appreciation of it came when I realized this inspired Van Gogh's depiction in FGO, which I'm very sorry to say that I have not brought up Fate twice in this video, and spoiler, it will not be the last. Wednesday was the low point of the week, having to travel across the city to check into my hotel, not eating anything the entire day until what must have been 7 p.m., and having to deal with the clusterfuck that was entering the Pokemon Center. You see, for the World Championships, Pokemon had this pop-up shop which you needed to make a reservation for. Eventually, they would just let anyone in. Along the way here, I met up with one of my roommates and we both had our reservations around noon, so we had to be at the venue quite early. To make it on time, we had to skip over checking into our hotel, which meant carrying all our luggage around until we finally had the chance to drop it off around 4 p.m. If carrying a stuffed backpack for an entire day wasn't bad enough, the line for the Pokemon Center was certainly enough to drive someone mad. Which it did. Some dude who was heckling an employee there eventually freaked out and stormed off. I think he might have been claustrophobic or something with the way he was reacting. I eventually got into the second queue to enter the store half an hour after my original appointment. After enduring another 20 minutes or so in line, I could finally do my shopping, which yet again presented another mob of people, which I can best describe as ravenous piranhas, cluttered around all the Special Worlds merchandise, leaving it completely empty as employees constantly rushed to refill stock and satisfy demand. Man's bestial nature on full display aside, the Pokemon Center was nothing short of impressive, all decked out in Pokemon decorations and with some nice photo ops all over the store. This was more or less open to the public, so I'm sure people who were there just for this and couldn't care less about the actual competition going on had some fun here. Any footage you see here was taken on Sunday, which was busy enough, but trust me when I say it was way more crowded on this opening day. As for my merch haul, I got some plushies, new drip, this umbrella, and more plushies. I left there while it drained and with worries on how the hell I was going to get all this stuff back home. So luckily, a couple hours later, we had to return to the venue for competitor check-in, which is where we got all our competitor swag, which included this, which was the only way I was going to realistically get all this shit back home because I was seriously considering buying a whole separate luggage. But luckily, this came through. Besides the backpack, we also got a ton of other swag, as I said. The first one being this playmat, which you're going to be seeing throughout the segment, which also came in this nice little pouch. Very nice. And of course, obviously I should also mention that this shirt that I'm wearing also was part of this kit that you would get for competing. Up next is the plush Pikachu that is given out every year, always themed to where Worlds is located that year. So obviously this time around, Pikachu is themed to, honestly, I don't really know what he's supposed to be dressed up as. On the way to the Natural History Museum, we did see a poster or advertisement with this guy dressed up as, the same outfit. I guess it's supposed to be part of the military or an officer or some type of guard. If I find it, I'll post it here. But yeah, the plush is very nice. Next is a hat, which, what can I say about it? It's nice. It's got Pikachu on it, the rose motif right there. World Championships. On this side it says London. It's a hat. What else can I say? Now, next to the backpack, this is probably my favorite thing that we got for competing. Well, next to the backpack and the Pikachu, it's this, a Nintendo Switch case, which I didn't know we would be getting one for competing. I actually bought one at the Pokemon Center right before this that had the Pokemon Center design. I ended up selling that to a friend of mine, but otherwise I would have kept it because it was very nice. To be honest, I kind of like the Pokemon Center design a bit more than this, but still, I love it. It's nice to flex. It's like, oh, where did you get that? Oh, I got it for competing at Worlds. So, yeah, I like this one a lot. In the same vein that VGC players got their Switch case, TCG players got their deck box, though they got a bit shafted because this design is just a generic Pokemon Worlds design that they were selling at the Pokemon Center. You see that's not the same coloring as this, which I do find a bit odd, but I don't care because I'm gonna end up selling this anyway. This along with the sleeves that I have right here. Now these I actually have no idea if they were being sold at the Pokemon Center. I know this was, I remember seeing it there. This I don't know. If they were selling it there, I don't know if it was this design or something else. So this might be a competitor exclusive. I'm not sure. Again, I'm gonna sell it, so I really do not care. Moving on to more mundane things, it is a screen cleaner, which I will probably just use to clean my glasses. Again, it has the same design as all the other stuff, like the playmat. On the back, it has a type chart, which I find very funny because if you're competing at Worlds, you probably don't need a type chart to reference. But hey, that's the backside, I guess. We have a bag. Here's a pin. Honestly, not really much to say about it. Eventually, I'll put it on display when I get a corkboard for one of my rooms. But in the meantime, it will go in a bag in my drawer and never see the light of day until I buy said corkboard. Kind of reaching the end here. The next thing is a luggage tag, which looks very nice, very pretty. You can accessorize your luggage, I guess. You can better tell that it's your bag when you're trying to pick it up at the airport. Yep, it's a luggage tag. And finally, we have this thing, which I honestly have no fucking clue what this is for. It is called a travel pass holder. I have no idea if this is something you just put around your neck, like a lanyard right here. Right here, just stick it in there. I am a bit clueless. Honestly, I should open this. I don't know why I haven't opened it to have a better idea what this is for. Yeah, it's like a little. Oh, okay. Okay, there's a little pocket here. Yeah, I guess you just put an ID. It's just why is it called a travel pass holder? I don't know. I don't know. I'm genuinely at a loss for words. I don't know what this is for. I guess you just put your ID in here. And the funny thing is that I have two of these fucking things. They gave you one for buying something at the Pokemon Center. Maybe you had to hit a certain threshold of money spent there, but I got one. I didn't even know I got one until someone pointed it out, and I dug it out from my bag. And yeah, I got two of these fucking things. This one has the Pokemon Center design. You can see the blue right here compared to the competitor design. But I got two travel pass holders, which is fun, I guess. But that is everything we got in the swag bag, right? I'm pretty sure that's everything. Yeah, we got that and the spectator pass and the competitor pass, which again is the same design as this. It's in my room. I'm not gonna bring it out, but it's literally just this design right here with Pikachu. But yeah, that was Wednesday. I guess cut now to Thursday. It was another episode of being in a mob of people as we walked into the venue for the opening ceremony, where Worlds Day 1 would officially begin. It was also around here where some nerves started to set in, but luckily they went away starting the first round. It was 8 rounds of competition, win 6, and you're immediately qualified for the next day. I went a mediocre 4-4, though I would have been quite satisfied going 5-3, especially since my first 3 losses all felt quite justified. As for my last round, that was a bit more annoying since I was in position to win 2-0. The matchup played out very flowcharty and I had to call a specific turn right to win. I was up a game, only for both games 2 and 3 to play out the exact same, where he brought out his Zacian, where I had to guess if I was going to attack, protect, or switch out. If you know nothing about competitive Pokemon, just pretend I'm saying I had to call whether he would use rock, paper, or scissors. I called the turn incorrectly both game 2 and 3, which led me to lose the match, which I was quite mad about since I should have trusted my gut to Hailstorm the very obvious Celesteela switch in game 2 to take the Max Quake. That would have been game, but instead I finished the tournament going completely even. Should emphasize, I mean no disrespect to my opponent, it was still a good match at the end of the day. It's just always annoying to not trust yourself and letting a win slip by. As for the team I used, it was a standard composition of Palkia, Calyrex Ice, Incineroar, Amoonguss, Porygon 2, and Tapu Fini. Though this otherwise standard looking team did have some fun tricks. The Incineroar was Adamant Max Attack for maximum damage output, better to soften up targets so Calyrex can better clean up, and also making it a more viable Dynamax option. The Tapu Fini ran Room Service instead of the more standard leftovers, making it faster than Calyrex under Trick Room, so you could Nature's Madness targets before Calyrex gets to attack. Amoonguss ran no Protect, but instead both Pollen Puff and Foul Play, since if you're playing the team optimally, you shouldn't be clicking Protect all that often. And finally, the Palkia was all bulk with no special attack investment, as it living attacks to more consistently set up Trick Room was more important than it doing damage. In the famous words of me in a Discord call a couple of days prior, we had a fat cock. 2 if you count a Calyrex. Despite the mediocre performance from myself and my friend Alex, whom I practice with, I was satisfied with the team, and if I had any reason to play Series 12 again, I wouldn't mind using D6 again. Friday was a more uneventful day spent at the venue watching matches as there was a train strike going on, and I didn't feel like dealing with that in trying to travel across the city. The main highlight this day were these cable cars we rode, which were all Pokemon themed. They really went all out with these, promoting fake businesses, legal disclaimer included, and playing Pokemon music to add to the atmosphere. Now, the reason for riding these was to cross the river, as we were heading to this ugly looking building you see here. This is not a construction project in progress like I thought, but instead an arena and shopping mall. There was this specific ice cream shop we were heading to, which my dumbass thought was outside, so we walked around the building's perimeter, only for me to realize it was in fact inside. Definitely one of my biggest blunders during the trip. No cable car ride would be complete without getting stuck in the air, which ours did on the way back. Not for long, but it's always fun dangling in the air above a busy highway. This will be another day of competition, as while World's Top Cut played out, the London Open would serve to keep all of us losers entertained. For a couple years now, Worlds has hosted this side tournament to allow anyone not still competing to get this head start on an invite by offering points to do well. Not taking the competition too seriously, I pulled up with my namesake in what is my favorite Zekrom team I built to date. After 9 rounds, I finished 5-4, which I was very sad about since I was 5-3 heading into my last round with very good resistance. Basically, if I won my last round, I would be guaranteed points from this. I ended up hitting my worst matchup, which was very upsetting, but that is also the nature of the team, so I can't complain too much. Some really bad matchups, some really good matchups. I just had to get lucky with my opponents. The main core here is Zekrom, Kyogre, and Gothitelle. Zekrom is pretty standard as far as a niche restricted goes, though I do think Breaking Swipe was a nice tech to have for some endgames. Kyogre was extremely bulky with a spread I stole from the eventual Open winner of all people. I purposely wanted a bulky set, as when thinking about how the team would play out, Kyogre would be there to clean up games a lot of the time, and a Life Orb set would be counterintuitive. Mystic Water was also an option, but with the team having a weakness to Calyrex Shadow, the extra bulk from Assault Vest was needed. Gothitelle did its regular thing of being annoying and putting things to sleep.
Oh, come on, man. Can we land a Hypnosis today?
Well, some of the time. On the flight to London, I figured I would spend some of my time finalizing this team, as I was still juggling between several options to round it out. My next addition was a mixed Landorus set, which was needed as I ran Grass Knot to deal with Groudons and Gastrodons, which would otherwise be problematic. As for why Landorus instead of a grass type like Rillaboom, I also wanted something to throw in Zacians. Shedinja was next as it served as a loose counter to Calyrex Ice teams, and finally Porygon 2 to deal with the Ghost Restricteds. A key thing with this team was to do a little bit of trolling, which is why I would end up settling for these as the last two, especially with giving P2 Ally Switch over the more standard Eerie Impulse. As nice it would have been to use a more serious team for the tournament, it felt poetic to send off this generation running my favorite Pokemon. Regardless of my results, I had a ton of fun, and it was nice to not be so worried about a good result at a tournament for once.
Have you been blogging at all or taking any video?
I gave up.
You gave up?
Yeah.
I kind of gave up. I'm trying to take B-roll.
I don't have a real camera. This fucking sucks. This phone is ass.
I am proud to say this is when my footage begins to pick up the pace, so I can stop relying on other sources to figure out how I'm going to pad out this video. Today was the long-awaited last day of Worlds, as soon our TCG and BGC World Champions would be crowned. Though before we could go into the venue to sit down and watch finals, as is tradition, there was some football being played at a nearby court, which my friends wanted to go play. I do not like football, so I just sat here watching the games. As we walk across the entire convention center heading towards the courts, this is a good opportunity to talk about what it was like to be here. Pokemon tournaments, especially nationals, have always felt like mini Pokemon conventions, but this Worlds took that idea to a whole other level. From the Pokemon Center, a variety of side activities like the World Square, which I never even found a chance to go into, and of course the tournament itself, there was something for every type of Pokemon fan who found themselves at the Excel. This being my first Worlds, I had no frame of reference for how much work Pokemon has put in before into making this such a big event for everyone, but I was told this was the biggest Worlds ever, and I could see that. It was impossible to be near the Excel without seeing people get on the overground with Pokemon Center bags, and things like the decorated cable cars and Excel Center really made it feel like Pokemon was in full force in London. After some fresh air out in the court, well, somewhat fresh air because there would occasionally be a stinky gust of wind, it was time for finals. When we got there, people were still trickling in, but by junior finals the venue was packed, with everyone cheering on the matches being played out. I've been down here in the crowd plenty of times by now, but never at Worlds, which felt quite special with all the production value on display. After Masters Finals and an awkward long wait, we got some news for the TCG and upcoming games, and of course the trophy ceremony. Finally, to close out the entire tournament, we leave on the news for where next year's Worlds is going to be.
Why should it be Japan or something? It's gonna be like some port city, I don't know. Montecito, I don't know. Or village.
You know, I really was set on taking a good long break from Pokemon after this, but seeing that Worlds will be in Japan next year, I want a way out, but this game finds a way to suck me back in. Now, something I found quite funny was that as soon as the tournament finished, champions were crowned, announcements got announced, the people there really wanted us to leave. As in, we were being rushed to leave as we tried taking some last-minute photos there. I, however, made sure to take one last photo with my boy because I would not feel right if I didn't.
I'm gonna vlog, I guess.
You gonna vlog?
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Let's keep talking.
What?
Keep talking. I don't know.
Sure, I will. No, tell me when you started.
I already did.
Oh, shit. Hello.
No, you don't. No, don't do that. There's this joke I told my friend Alex this day, if he was familiar with Olive Garden's tour of Italy dish, because today was going to be the tour of London, as we'll be exploring the city together, as he had yet to do so, and I still had some spots I wanted to check out. One of the first spots we stopped by was the Florence Nightingale Museum, appropriately right next to a hospital. The museum may have been closed, but that did not stop me from wanting to visit. So I could take a photo holding up my phone with Nightingale's FGO counterpart. If you think me bringing up Faith 3 times in this video is bad enough, I had to deal with Alex talking about Rent-A-Girlfriend throughout the day, so it could be worse, okay?
I'll just show you the Rent-A-Girlfriend later.
Sure, man.
It's a banger. No, the ending. Well, the opening and the ending are better than the second two. It's growing on me a little bit.
Making our way into the city, we didn't miss opportunities to take some photos, like at the OO, which we found very amusing. Our next stop was to get some breakfast at a place I didn't get to check out on Tuesday. There was this restaurant which had piqued my interest when researching for places to eat, called the Cafe at the Crypt, because nothing quite works up an appetite than a repurposed crypt where God knows how many bodies used to be stored there hundreds of years prior. Gimmick aside, the food was lovely and served as good fuel for all the walking would be doing that day. Not something I had on my checklist, but Alex wanted to check out a card shop to buy some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which we eventually found one after a bit of trouble. A card shop on its own sounded fun enough to check out, but the store provided just a bit more than cards. If anything, they didn't have much card selection compared to their collectible offerings in figures, or even the book and manga section.
Oh, they got Nero too. Oh, there's another prize figure. That was pretty decent. Furio, yeah, it's a non-scale figure.
Is that an FGO thing? Yeah,
Well,
Carnival. Okay.
she's from Fate Extra, but yeah, it is a spin-off, comedy spin-off.
okay.
Yeah.
Why do they make so many of these, like,
Of what?
around for no reason?
Because she's super popular.
Why?
Because she's basic.
Okay.
Sorry, we ran lovers. Oh, look, do Pokemon.
Wow, that's good. It's not way too much to speak on Pokemon.
Yeah, we really have. Dude, Grookey. I hear Rillaboom's really good and competitive. Did you know he just won Worlds?
Uh-oh. Just point at me, I'm a thumbs up.
What about her? Yes?
Ooh.
More Pokemon. Wow. Alex, did you know that the World Championships were here in London just this weekend?
Sure. Who's that?
Akechi?
Where's the Adachi?
Not here.
That's Persona 4.
I know.
I love Adachi.
I saw a tweet saying Subaru's playing through Persona 4,
Yeah.
and she saw Teddy,
Yeah.
and she said, "Oh, it looks like he would organize a death game, like Monokuma."
In case you were wondering, I bought some Chainsaw Man, and Alex bought some packs as he intended. He did not get anything good.
That's nothing.
That looks cool though.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Ocean Dragon Lord. Yeah, I don't play Umi though. I have all these Marines cards.
Yeah, you got two hits at least. I think it's something.
Did I open 5 packs already? I guess.
Yeah, this is the
That's
sixth
the last one.
Yeah, trust.
I just feel like I'm getting shafted.
This is a certified banger right here.
No. Sleeping Maiden? That's nice.
Torrential
Cool.
Tribute.
Yeah,
That's
tribute.
a certified hood classic.
Cool. I got shafted. Oops.
All right.
Yay.
Bye.
Returning to spots I specifically wanted to see, we made our way to the Natural History Museum. Besides the National Gallery, this was the other main museum I wanted to see, but since it closes a bit early, I wasn't able to check it out on Tuesday. Despite my excitement to visit, particularly because I thought the hanging well skeleton they had was the coolest shit ever, we were both quite tired by this point, especially Alex, so our stay was brief. I even passed on the chance to see Dippy, the nation's supposed favorite dinosaur.
We don't, that's Dippy, whatever. I don't care about Dippy. Fuck Dippy.
Luckily, the giant hanging skeleton more than made up for it, and I got some lovely photos. We were nearing the end of today's tour, with the Tower of London and Tower Bridge being our last stops before we topped the day off with a visit to Borough Market yet again, for me at least, as I had gone last Tuesday. Alex, of course, continued to talk about Pokemon and the Galar region, which I found very entertaining, as you can tell.
This is like where they explain the story.
The story.
Remember like the gym leader?
Oh my god. No, I don't remember.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay.
Let's go down.
Alright, let me catch you up. So
Don't.
They're basically, remember when you fought Raihan? And
No.
there's, like
Oh yeah.
the double battles beforehand. It's like rain, someone
Yeah.
on the rain team, someone on the sun team, and someone on like the sand team.
Yes.
They were explaining like the lore, comparing you to like the hero of ancient.
Yeah, I remember that now.
And it was like really big cop out for like no fucking reason. This is kind of like the similar like structure.
This is like Hammerlock, isn't it?
Hammerlock, yeah. I think this literally is Hammerlock. Yeah.
Dude, Pokemon IRL.
Pokemon IRL, bro. Like Pokemon Go.
Whoa.
Whoa. How is this in relation to Galar?
I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking know. No, it's the bridge that leaves the town, like to the outside. Yeah. There you go.
Now, that would have been the end of the story today, as after some fish and chips, we headed back to our respective hotels as we got ready to pack to leave the following day. Except, we got invited to some dinner with friends, and well, we stayed at the restaurant until the place closed at midnight. This restaurant also happened to have a foosball table, which is where I realized I am still a foosball god, beating 4 people and ultimately tying twice with another. Staying up this late was a decision I would totally not regret the next morning.
Oh, tomorrow is?
What?
It's Tuesday.
I'm gonna tweet.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, isn't it?
So, Monday would have been the last day I would talk about, because Tuesday, I just fly back home. What else is there for me to talk about? Nothing. Nothing was the answer. I just fly back home, that's it. I would have one less day to edit and record or whatever. Like, I know this video is gonna be long enough, but I don't need to do this to myself. Except I'm doing it to myself by doing this rant right here. Because I almost missed my flight. And sure, I did wake up like 20 minutes later than what I originally wanted to. I woke up like I think 5:16 in the morning instead of 5. And I would have woken up earlier if I didn't stay up so late the night prior. Sure, we can blame that on me. But let's ignore that, because I want to bitch about Iberia Airlines and their shitty fucking mobile app, because it is 2022. For whatever reason, you do not have mobile check-in or a mobile boarding pass. When I tried doing online check-in, they redirected me to British Airways, which I guess is their parent company. And when I tried doing check-in through there, on their website, they were like, oh, tough luck, buddy, go do it in person at the airport. Which, okay, yeah, that's pretty fucking annoying. But at least on my flight to London, I did not have an issue getting my boarding pass. I just talked to the employer right there, like, hey, I need my boarding pass. I give her my passport, you know, she gives me the boarding pass. That's it. End of the story. Except it was not that easy on the way back home, because I arrived to Heathrow at 8:20, I think. It was 8:20 in the morning. My flight is at 10. I see it's not that busy at the airport, so in my head, I'm like, okay, I got plenty of time to get my stuff done and still, you know, catch my flight. Finally, I can board my plane. So I'm just walking, you know, to my plane, and I go up to the stewardess there at the front, and she asks me, "How are you, sir?" And I just tell her, "Stressed." yeah, I guess if I didn't stay up so late the night prior, I would have woken up slightly earlier and I would not have gone through all this bullshit. So I guess that's the moral of the story, I guess. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, because this was definitely a challenge to put together. I was a bit worried going into it, into how it was going to come together, how it was going to turn out, but now that I'm basically done editing this entire video, because I am recording this after spending the entire day just putting the finishing touches on this, I would say it turned out pretty well, and I would hope you would agree with that sentiment. In saying that, for the sake of my sanity, I did have to leave out some fun stories from this trip, just to make sure this video would turn out pretty compact and so I wouldn't ramble on for too long. So sadly, you won't get to hear some fun stories like why both my visits to Borough Market were in fact pretty miserable. The fish and chips was good, but everything else besides that, not fun. But yeah, I hope you guys stay tuned to the channel. I do have some fun projects coming up. 2 of those are actually pretty far in development, so do expect those in the coming weeks. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll leave you all with one more clip, whatever it is that I decide to put right here.
I bet the Queen has her own exclusive Pokestop.
Probably. That's probably not even a joke. She probably does.